Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Okay, it is Monday and we are discussing 8 myths about medical coding. Now, I'm going to say 9 because I thought of one extra one after I did the post about it, announcing what my show today was. So if you're new to my channel, I have been a medical coder, an outpatient medical coder for over 10 years. And I love sharing what I do. And I hope that by sharing my knowledge that it helps you if you are a new or even a veteran medical coder. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, most emails that I get from people that are new to the field or maybe new to wanting to be a medical coder have said that they have heard different tales. Okay, I call them tales because let's be honest, some of these are just not true. All right, so let's get to the debunking. All right. Number 1, is medical coding like slave labor? No, it is not. And if you're hearing that, it's just ridiculous because slave labor is you're not getting any enjoyment out of anything, and those people are abused. Okay, this is not that. Okay, this is we are mentally thinking all day long. We work with providers, we work with documentation, like helping the providers to improve and things like that. That's what we do. That is the basic fundamentals of what we do. We look at a chart, we read it, we critically think, and we put it into codes for insurance companies and for statistical purposes. That is our purpose. That is what we do. If you think that it's like slave labor, this is probably not a position for you. I'm just going to be very honest and blunt, and that's all I can do, because the thing is, I'm not one to sugarcoat anything, and I'm not one to sugarcoat anything about this particular field in particular, because there's so much to it. And if you take the time and look at my videos, I have over 200. I'm about approaching 300 videos already, because I do videos quite often, as you all have seen. I do them quite often and about different topics. So not once have I ever said that this is like slave labor, because it is not. And if you are hearing that from somebody, it may be somebody who was either had a bad experience with their training, or maybe had a bad experience as being a medical coder. All facilities are different. Every person that you come in contact with that is a medical coder is going to be different. The caliber of every medical coder is going to be different. In order to really get fulfillment out of this field, out of the HIM field or the health information management field, you really have to dedicate yourself and devote yourself. Now, this does not mean, oh, I'm going to take away time from my family and I won't be able to do this. And no, squash that noise. You can still have your family life and you can still be a fantastic medical coder, okay? I am just saying that when you are at work or when you are studying, you need to be present while you're studying. You need to be present while you're at work. Some people get very distracted, and when you get distracted, you're not really concentrating on what you should be concentrating on. Our position as medical coders is very, very important. What we do impacts a lot of people. I've said this before on many videos. What we do impacts the provider. It mostly impacts the patient, because if we are coding incorrectly, that patient has either they're either going to pay too little or too much for the services that were provided to them. So I always like to tell people, think about how you would like to have your medical record be coded, by somebody who is dedicated and who is paying attention to detail, or by somebody who just wants to collect a check and go home. So that's why I always encourage making sure that you're paying attention to detail and all of the good things that can come out of paying attention to detail. Okay, so that's the first myth. The second myth is it's too hard and you need a degree. Not so. When you want to get into medical coding, all you need to start a program is a high school diploma or a GED. Now, yes, the colleges have different requirements. If you're going to a college and you're going to sit for their, go through their credential program, things like that, maybe you're doing an AHIMA program, CCS, and maybe you want to go to college for that and go through the college route. Of course, it's going to be one, more expensive than you would if you would just go to AHIMA at ahima.org and go through their program. Now, I will say this, as of today, this is April, what? April the 6th? Monday? Yeah. It's Monday. It's the first week of April. Okay, and well, technically the second week already of April, 2020. And right now the program is on hold because they are doing some updates. Please check the website before you try to get into the program. What they teach there will help you to know and understand the fundamental basics of medical coding, the beginning part, okay? But like I said, if you want to go the college route, that's entirely up to you. I always recommend that for people that are brand new and don't really know anything about medical coding, don't really know if they're going to like it, don't spend all this money trying to get a degree right out of the gate, okay? Go with a credential program first. Get a credential, see if you like it, and then if you like it, then go on to college, you know? At least that's just my opinion. If you want to go for the college route, hey, I always recommend getting as much education as you can. But I'm just saying that if you don't really know and you're not really sure yet, it's better to try to go the cheapest possible way, which would be to get your credential first, okay? If you go through one of the association websites, whether you go through AHIMA or AAPC, and you go through their credential programs, it's a fraction of the cost that it would be if you went to a trade school or to college. And that's just my that's just my suggestion on that one. I mean, it's a fraction of the cost. You're getting the same education, but at least you're going directly with the associations. And if you go to trade school, there's no guarantee that your instructor is going to be very hands-on or one who wants to promote that critical thinking. Now, if you can find an instructor at a trade school that is promoting critical thinking and they're really teaching the coders how to think when they're coding, then that's something different. But sometimes I've heard, and when I went to trade school, all it was an online program, and you just sat in front of the computer, and that was it. And then we had a person who was a coder come in and maybe give us a seminar, maybe once a week, sometimes twice a week. But that was about it. That was the extent of our training in this trade school. So it just depends on where you're going. Okay, so I'm just saying, if you're going to go that route, that would be my suggestion on that. But absolutely not. You do not need a degree. All you need to have when you start a program is a high school diploma or a GED. Okay. The next myth. You are watched and timed. I guess I should explain this one. The watch and time thing. I've mentioned this before, that if you are in a record too long and your supervisor can ask you, why were you in this record too long? You have a certain amount of quota that you have to do a day. What I mean when I say this, okay, you're not being like, somebody's not there with you with a stopwatch watching you, while you're at work, okay, trying to code. No, that's not what I mean. Please don't overthink what I'm trying to say, okay? I'm trying to tell you guys that if you are not meeting, and I probably should have been more clear, if you're not meeting your quota and they find you goofing off, okay, which can sometimes happen, I've seen it, okay, if they find you goofing off and they, that you're not making your quota per day, okay, and you're just wandering around or whatever, or you're just sort of being on your phone, which is a bad thing. I've seen people be on their phone all day and it makes me nuts, especially when they should be concentrating on working, and then they complain that they can't meet their quota. Okay, you can't meet your quota because you're on your phone, honey. That's why you can't meet your quota, because otherwise you can. If you're really just sitting there sort of looking at a chart and reading it and applying codes appropriately, yes, there's going to be some that are going to take a little bit longer than others. Not every patient is clear cut. Some are more intense than others. But I say this because sometimes people think that they can just finagle their way into doing something very easy and just sort of getting away with doing the least amount possible. And that's what I'm trying to tell you guys, that if you're trying to get in and do that's not right, because your supervisor can look and see how long you've spent in a record. Okay, so if you're showing a habit of doing that, then yes, that can be possible. But other than that, no, they have jobs to do too. Your lead has a job to do too. Your fellow coders have jobs to do too. So that's what I mean when I say that. But I've never meant to make y'all think that somebody's just sitting there with a stopwatch watching you and that kind of thing. That's not true. And if you've heard it in maybe a group or something like that, again, it's not true for every single facility. As far as like that you have to be quiet and that kind of thing. And that's another myth I'm going to talk about in a minute. Every place is different, but we are all adults. That's the bottom line. If you get hired to do a job as a medical coder, then you need to do your job. And it doesn't matter if you're taking a little bit longer, a little bit shorter to get through records. If you're doing it correctly and if you are using your time appropriately, then this is not an issue. But if you're goofing off, then that's when it becomes an issue. Okay. So next one. You need a credential to be a medical biller. Nope, you do not. If you are only doing medical billing, okay, you do not need a credential to be a medical biller. Most times, medical billers are just doing the billing side of the house, so they don't have to have the same technical knowledge that a medical coder has to have. Yes, the programs do say, oh, this is medical billing and coding. It's just because us coders, we have to learn the billing part of it. That is any medical coding program. They're going to teach you about the billing part, and with good reason, because you do need to know about the billing side. I mean, you may not have to do billing because that's usually taken care of by somebody else, but you still have to understand at least the basics, okay? And it's gone over in your program. And like I said, just because you study it doesn't mean you have to do it. But you do not need a credential to do medical billing, okay? AAPC does offer a credential for that. And I have said in the other video about the credentials when I was breaking them down, that if you want to get this and you are running a business to be a medical biller, then that's fine, because that makes sense. That credential for somebody who's actively doing billing like that and they're running their own company, that makes sense to me, okay? But if you are just wanting to just be a medical biller, you do not have to have a credential to be a medical biller. Next myth. Oh, if you make a mistake, you will be fired. No, this is not true. And if you heard this, if somebody told you this, I don't know why people would try to scare you. Have I ever said it on my videos? No. When I've talked about audits, I've always said, if you make a mistake or if you do really bad on an audit, because as medical coders, every month we get audited. It just makes sense. If we are making a mistake or perhaps we didn't catch something, because we are all human, it is a good time to learn, number one, right? If you're missing something, it's a good time to learn. Number two, it's a good way to stay sharp on your attention to detail skills, okay? And yes, I'm going to keep repeating attention to detail because this is attention to detail. You have to pay attention to all of the things that are going on in this record in order to make sure that you're fully capturing everything like you're supposed to, okay? I am a very detailed person. When I speak and when I talk about things in detail. Some people don't like this. There's nothing that I can do, but I would rather tell you all these things rather than you find them out when it's too late and you're out in the real world and you're like, what the heck did I get myself into? Right? So again, I'm okay with being the bad guy here because again, some people have written me and said, you know what? You saved me because of you, I decided not to do this because it's just too much, or I wouldn't want to do this, or whatever the case may be. And if that's the case, then that's fine. Because I'm saving you time, money, energy, time away from your family to study and that kind of thing. If this is really not what you want to do, then okay, but at least you did your research and at least you know, okay? So I'm just saying, for that one, if you are getting audited, okay, when you get audited, not if, when you get audited, and they said, okay, you made a mistake. Okay, all you're going to do is go back correct your mistake, and move on. Okay? If you continue to make the same mistake, okay, say for instance, your auditor has shown you how you are incorrectly coding, and you continue to do the same mistake because you don't feel that the auditor was correct, even though the auditor showed you how they got to that, right? And you continue to do the same thing, then of course there's probably going to be some administrative action if you continue to do the same thing, because you want to just be right. Everybody wants to be right. Nobody likes to be wrong. I mean, even I have times when I'm wrong. It happens. We're all human, okay? But you try your best, you keep going, and you move on. They're not going, if you make one mistake, they're not going to fire you. Why? Because it takes a lot of money to hire you, okay? Do you think they want to throw away that investment? And something about you made them say, okay, I want to give this person a chance. I want to hire this person. Or this person's really talented, we need them. So do you think they're going to just fire you just like that? No. That's no. Okay, so, and there's going to be times when maybe you are on a probation period when you're first starting. And unfortunately, sometimes it's not that you make one mistake, because that would be stupid. Everybody's going to make a mistake. But if you keep making mistakes, that's when you need to worry, okay? Again, you got to pay attention. And if something is confusing you, or if you don't quite understand, then you need to work with your lead, or your supervisor, or whoever's above you, in order to try to help you to understand. And if they don't want to help you, or if you feel like you're not comfortable talking to them, then you need to do research on your own. And you need to look on the internet, look on Google, look through my videos and see if I've done anything about it, about the topic that is confusing you. You can write me, you can ask me. I may be able to even do a whole video about it, if it's something that, I can just do, whatever, and I have plenty of experience. So, there's not a whole lot I have not done. And if I can't find the answer right away, I will try to help. At least that's something that I can do. But yes, don't panic about that, because that's unrealistic. It's unrealistic to, just fire somebody over one mistake. Okay, and think about that, and remember that if you start to get nervous. Okay, so the next one is you have to be quiet all day. It depends on where you're working. Okay, I can't say that that's entirely true for every place. Okay, but you have to really know where you're working, and you got to ask. Some places, yes, you cannot talk, then you have to be working. And they do this because sometimes women, we are guilty of this. But women tend to like to chatter, okay? Now, when I'm working, I like to work, okay? And sometimes because people, and it doesn't matter men or women, they want to sit there and chit chat, the supervisor has to gain control over the room, especially if you are all housed in one room, okay? So if you are all housed in one room, there's a good chance that it's going to be like no talking, okay? But that's something, again, it's different with every facility. And then there are some facilities where, yes, you can talk, but remember, if you're talking and there's like 20 other people in the room, there's a good chance it's going to get a little distracting. So you have to make sure you have headphones, okay? So it's just going to depend on the environment. And that's when you got to ask, when you're applying, what is this environment like? Am I working in a cubicle with a partner, or am I working in a big room with a lot of people as they're talking? That's when you can clear that up. But it's not the same for every facility, okay? I will say that, okay? Because when I had to be in the little that tin can room, and there was 20 of us, and all in bullpens, and trust me, there was no controlling that room, unfortunately, and it got very loud, and it was very frustrating a lot of times, especially when I'm just trying to work and I'm just trying to do my thing for my providers, and you have ladies who just want to talk, you know what I mean? So it's just going to depend on where you're working, okay? But it's not always true, I'm just saying. The next one is artificial intelligence will take over. Nope. We are a long way from there. And if somebody tells you, oh, yes, artificial intelligence is going to take over, They clearly do not know about the field. Yes, there are some programs where they have tried to do it in beta, right? Where, you know, they're doing things and that, but they still need that human element. They still have to have the human eye because the program is only as smart as you're telling it to be. And yes, while they think that they can try to have these programs that read this and level it out, it still has a lot of errors, too many errors. And again, we are so far away from that it's not even a worry right now. I mean, honestly, I've been to almost every single conference since 2014. We've had this discussion, we've had this conversation. So I've been to plenty of seminars about AI, and trust me, I'm not worried about it. And the next one is, after a certain age, it's too late for you. No, it is never too late. If you are in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, even your 60s, a lady that I went to school with, she was in her 60s, she was 61, okay? She finished the program. She got her credential, and she's still a medical coder even today, and she's in her 70s. So if you are wanting to do it and you're worried that you're in your 30s, please. 30s is a new 20, and so on and so forth, okay? So no, it's not too late. 40s is not too late. 50s is not too late. And if you are spry and in your 60s and you want to do it, God bless you. Go ahead. Because trust me, this lady that was in her 60s, she survived the ICD-10 changeover. So she learned from ICD-9 to ICD-10. Completely different with the diagnosis coding. Completely different. I'm just saying. Okay. Just saying. And then the final one, the bonus myth, is you need a bunch of credentials to make money. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. If you have more credentials, it's just showing that you are more detailed, more specialized in whatever additional credentials that you're getting, okay? You only need one credential. Most of the time when you're applying for a medical coding job, all you need is one credential. That's it. And a lot of coders go through their entire careers with one credential, okay? So again, no, you don't need a bunch of credentials, and getting multiple credentials is not going to up your odds of getting a job, because all they want in the beginning is for you to have experience. And I've talked about how you get experience on so many videos. I'm not going to talk you guys' ear off about that anymore. But that is that. I mean, no, you don't need a bunch. And like I said, all you need is one, okay? But you really do need to make sure that you are as dedicated to learning and making sure that you are a well-rounded coder, even with your one credential, okay? Because if I had listened to anybody tell me that nonsense, please, no. Okay, and my final thoughts before I wrap this one up. If you are in a Facebook medical coding group, get out of there. So many times when I get emails from people and they're panicking, it's because they've gotten information from a Facebook medical coding group. Please do yourselves a favor and get out of there. The only reason that I say that is because everybody has a different experience. And then sometimes it just steamrolls. These negative things, they just steamroll. And you don't want to be part of that. Do yourself a favor and just do your own research. Use reputable resources to get your information. And if you want to know about the life of a medical coder, hello, I've done so many a day in the life of a medical coder videos. You can check them out. I'm just saying, okay? So I'm going to wrap this one up. But I hope that this has helped you. If it has helped you, I hope you'll share this video. If you have any questions, tomorrow's Q&A Tuesday. I hope you'll tune in then. So if you're a medical coder, a medical coding student, somebody curious about the fascinating world of medical coding, a provider or a nurse, I invite you to like and subscribe and follow me on my journey in medical coding. I will see y'all next time. Bye.